Hey y'all, I am 3 days post-op and I've gotten lots of questions from people about like my experience and things like that having a tummy tuck surgery. And so I thought instead of trying to answer all of them individually one by one, I'd kind of collect all the questions and answer them at one time. So I've got them written down on this piece of paper. I am recording in my bathroom because if you have kids, you know that this is the only place where you can have some quiet. So with that being said, let's get into it. So this is something that I've wanted for a really long time. My first child is 6 years old, and after he was born, I already knew my body had changed in ways that I was not sure I would be able to come back from. I had a really large diastasis recti, which is basically abdominal separation. So your abs kind of meet together like this typically, and then when you get pregnant and your stomach grows, they like split to accommodate the baby. And then for some women, after they give birth, it comes back together. Mine didn't, so I gave birth and my abs stayed like right here. So I had no core here. My abs were kind of like this. So I had lots of discomfort, lots of back pain. I had an umbilical hernia. And I also just kind of looked 5 months pregnant at all times because there was nothing holding my insides inside. So it was all kind of like protruding. And then we had Wesley and then Miles. Miles is our last one, and we knew that we were done after him. And so as soon as he was born, I started researching doctors and figuring out how I can plan for this surgery. Oh, also, the abdominal separation was really taking a hit, like, to my confidence. My confidence really just took a hit. I just didn't feel comfortable in any of my clothes. It would be a whole ordeal if we had to go somewhere, and I had to like pick an outfit because nothing felt right. And I was tired of picking out clothes based on how well they concealed my stomach, because that's not who I was prior to having kids. And so I just didn't feel at home in my body. And so once I knew I was done having children, that I knew that this was something I wanted to prioritize. So I had 2 consultations. One was for a doctor in Fayetteville, and then one was for the doctor that I ultimately went with. The one in Fayetteville, I did that consult years ago, and I just didn't feel, he didn't feel personable. Like it very much felt like, I don't know, I wasn't getting anything from him. Like it didn't seem like he wanted or didn't want to do the surgery. It was kind of just like a indifference from him. And that's not what I wanted my experience to feel like, because if he feels indifferent now, when I'm recovering, is he still gonna feel indifferent? Like I wanted someone who would actually care. So I didn't go with him. And then this year I saw on my timeline, because you know, the algorithm knows all, and I kept finding ads for Amelia Aesthetics in Raleigh. And so I started checking them out, and they had a new doctor, Dr. Cedric Hunter, that had just joined their practice. And so I was researching him, and he had a really strong training background. And also he was Black, which was important for me. If possible, I wanted to have a Black surgeon. And then when I went for my consultation, he was just very warm and personable and made me feel really comfortable. He was also honest about results. So he was telling me like, this is what reasonably we can do. These are what risks you have. So like I have a higher risk for belly button complications because I've had an umbilical hernia and because I've had that hernia for so long. And he was honest about it and talked about like, I don't suspect there's gonna be problems, but if there are, this is what we'll do. And so I just felt really informed and comfortable and cared for. And so that day, that's when I booked my surgery. Now, I booked it like 7 months out, so I don't know what that math is, but my surgery was December 1st, and my consultation was sometime in the summer. I don't remember, but it was a while ago. The cost was $11,050. I also added revision insurance into that, which was about $400 and something. So the cost was probably like $11,400 and something. Revision insurance covers anything like if something were to heal weird, or I wasn't satisfied with how something was healing, then I could come back and get it fixed without having to pay a bunch of money, like repaying for anesthesia and all that stuff. It would be covered under revision insurance. And since my surgeon was so transparent about the fact that I could have belly button complications, I went ahead and added that on. So that way, if something happens to my belly button, he can fix it and make me a new one. So in that $11,050, what that all includes is the tummy tuck and muscle repair. It included my hernia repair. It includes lipo to the flanks, which is the sides right here. And the reason they do that is when they pull this skin down, like I already had a curve here, but when they pull the skin down, it can make you look like a box. And aesthetically, like he was like, you don't want to look like a square. And so he included in all of their tummy tucks is lipo to right here. So that wasn't like something that I added into my procedure, it was already included. It also includes all of the garments that I'll need and all of the follow-up appointments. So that's like an all-inclusive cost. There's no taxes and fees added on. It was a flat price. So I am very nervous about anesthesia. Like that is what was causing me the most anxiety. I knew I could handle recovery. I knew I could handle post-op and swelling and pain and all that stuff. But the anesthesia, that's the part that was really scaring me. So surgery day, I was very anxious. Yeah, that's the only way I can put it. In terms of directions, like I couldn't eat anything after midnight the night before. I had to take Tylenol that morning, Celebrex, and a muscle relaxer, and drink a Gatorade like 4 hours before surgery. When I showed up, it was a pretty quick transition. My arrival time was 10:30, so that's like when I show up at the building. I got there at 10:30. My husband Brandon came with me, thankfully. So we got there at 10:30. They took me back to the operating room around 11. So when I first got there at 10:30, they took Brandon to the waiting room. They took me to like a pre-op room where they marked me up and everything like that. I took my clothes off and put them in a locker, and they gave me a surgical robe to put on, compression socks, and fuzzy socks. And then they took me back to the OR. So at 11 o'clock, I was in the OR. And so they asked me if I had any questions, if I wanted any particular music playing, and I was like, no, I'm just scared, and the music's not gonna change the fact that I'm scared. And so the anesthesiologist gave me some medicine through my IV. I have no idea what it was, but he was like, I'm gonna give you some medicine so that way you won't care that you're scared about anesthesia. And I was like, great, give me that. And that's all I remember. And then it felt like 2 minutes later, I was awake and being escorted to like, I don't even remember, like, wow. I don't know. 2 minutes later, I woke up and then I was home. I was just very, very groggy. But the surgery itself took 3 hours. So I went into surgery at 11. I was out by 2. And then from 2 to 3, they kept me for recovery, and then we went home. I randomly remember being in the car and I looked at the time and it was 3:11. So I know that we were on the road, well on our way home, probably home by 3:30. That first day home, I was very groggy. Like I remember people texting me and I'd be holding my phone, texting back, and then I'd look away and I'd fall asleep. And then I'd look back and I'd be like, oh, I was texting someone. Like I was falling in and out of sleep the whole day. That night I did not sleep well, and it wasn't because of pain. I just I think it was the pain meds. I've heard that they can interrupt your sleep. I was just up. I just couldn't fall asleep. Now, I think everyone has a different tolerance for pain or think of pain in different ways. To me, so this is my 3rd day post-op. The recovery has not been bad at all to me. I would say what I've realized is I categorize muscle soreness and pain as 2 different things, whereas some people might think muscle soreness is pain. So this recovery has been almost all muscle soreness for me, which I don't find necessarily painful. It's definitely uncomfortable for sure, but I wouldn't say painful. Now, what I will say is I did get an Exparel shot, which means before they sewed me up, they injected some muscle numbing medicine into my muscles. And I've also stayed on top of my pain medication. So I would definitely recommend the shot and staying on your pain meds. The Exparel shot is supposed to last 3 days, so it's supposed to get you through the worst parts of recovery. And in that time, my surgical team said like they want me to push myself, obviously not too far, but really maximize the time that your muscles are numb. So they wanted me up and walking and trying to like put my shoulders back to stand up straight while my stomach is still numb, so that way when the shot wears off, that I've done the hardest part of the work. I've had 3 C-sections, and I would say that the pain is similar to a C-section. Like for a C-section, you're cut right above your pubic bone, and that area is really sore. I would say that that pain or like that discomfort is similar, except it's your whole core. So it's definitely a more widespread discomfort, but it's not more painful, if that makes any sense. So if you're someone who had a C-section and you recovered relatively quickly and you were up and walking around after your C-section, I would say that this is probably similar to that. I know some people who've also had a tummy tuck and who had C-sections, and their tummy tuck recovery was hard, but they also said that their recoveries from their C-sections were difficult too. So maybe there's a correlation there of, you know, how you heal during C-section and how you feel during that might be a good indicator for how you feel after a tummy tuck. I don't know. I feel like I have a pretty high pain tolerance, I guess. I don't know, but it's definitely a lot of muscle soreness and tightness, more so than actual pain. My mom, thank God for her, she has been super helpful. She is going to be with us for a week. Well, she's with us all the time. She helps us with Miles, but she's going to be here all day with us throughout this next week. I can't lift anything over 10 pounds for ideally 6 weeks, but because I've got kids and a young child, Miles is only 1, my surgeon said if I could wait 2 weeks, that would be great. 3 weeks would be ideal, because 6 weeks just isn't realistic. So I need help with that stuff. So like I can make breakfast, I can make food for the kids, but I can't like lift Miles to put him in his high chair or get him into and out of his crib and things like that. So I can't be left alone with him unless it's overnight and he's sleeping, because I just can't move him or do anything. But other than that, I've been able to get around pretty well. I'm up and walking, taking my medicines. I'm able to get into the, like go to the bathroom by myself, shower by myself and things like that. So it really hasn't been too bad. I'm thinking it's different for everyone. What my surgeon said is that to expect swelling, lumps, bumps, and bruises for 2 to 3 weeks. And then after that, it starts to get better. So I'll show pictures at the end of this about what my stomach looks like now, but it's very like tight. There's like lots of swelling in my hips. There's lots of lumps and folds over here, and it's just very swollen. but that's to be expected, and it'll get better from there. If you have a desk job, like a job that doesn't require a lot of like walking and moving and things like that, my surgeon said you can probably go back to work within 1 to 2 weeks. I took off 1 week, I work from home. I feel like that's gonna be more than enough time for me. I think the biggest thing is like I kind of get tired in the middle of the day. So sometimes I need to take a nap, just because, you know, your body is healing from like a really big surgery, really big procedure, and it just gets tired. And so sometimes I just need a nap. But other than that, I feel like in a week I'll be ready to be back doing stuff for my job. I guess I can show you what it's like to stand up. So on day 1, I was really hunched over like this, like at a 45-degree angle. Now on day 3, I'm kind of like almost straight, kind of. It's still tight. When I stand straight, I assumed that the pain would be at the incision line, like that would hurt, but it doesn't. What I feel more is the stretching right here. It just feels tight. So, but it doesn't hurt. It's just kind of like stretching a really tight muscle. And so every day they want me to stand against a wall and try to pull my shoulders back as far as I can and hold it for a minute and do that as many times of the day that I can. So as you can see, like if I'm trying to stretch, I can stretch pretty straight. But that's not the most comfortable. Like when I'm walking, I'm usually bent a little bit, probably like, I don't know, 10 degrees maybe, just a little bend. I'm really looking forward to like the swelling going down. I really like my belly button placement. I think he put it in a good area. It looks like he stitched it from the inside. So I don't think I'm gonna have a scar around my belly button, which is really nice. I loved my belly button pre-pregnancies, and so I'm looking forward to like having it back because post-baby belly button was doing some crazy things. And that's all that I've got. I will do another video in 1 week. I have my 1 week post-op visit on next Thursday. And at that time, I'll get to take off this current contraption that I've got on. So I'll show it to you. I have like a Velcro binder. It's really bulky and really tight, and then just like kind of itchy. I have to keep that on for a week, and then after I go to my post-op appointment, they said they'll give me more garments, but they'll be more like Spanx, which I'm definitely looking forward to wearing because then I can probably wear normal clothes. So I will update you all then, and in the meantime, if you have any questions, you can shoot them to me in my DMs or comment below. This is my first real YouTube video. So however you want to get your questions to me, do that, and I will talk to y'all later. Bye.